How's it going there, guys? In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the very exciting QHY MiniCam 8. It's a monochrome cooled 585 sensor paired up with an electronic filter wheel, and it comes bundled with filters at an amazing price. If you've ever wanted to get into monochrome imaging but have been put off by the price, now may be the time, and this could be the answer. I can't wait to test this thing out properly. What we are going to be doing over the course of this video is taking a look at an unboxing and an installation of those included filters, as well as talking a little bit more about general function of this kind of product. And we are going to take a look also at the spec sheet, as I think it's one of the most impressive things really about what this camera can offer. That 585 is a wonderful sensor in its color variant, so the monochrome is just going to be out of this world in terms of overall sensitivity. Now, I want to also let you know that my friend Queeve the Laser Geek is reviewing one of these too at the same time, so by all means, keep your eyes peeled for his video on this. I'm sure that's going to be absolutely fantastic as soon as it's out. And if it is already out by the time I publish this one, I'll post a link as a pinned comment down below. Make sure to support his channel. He's a really fantastic guy and an absolute credit to the astronomy community. Let's dive in. Anyhow, a little bit now. So I want to talk to you directly first off about the price of this thing. It's wildly priced. So as you can see, it comes in actually 4 different variants. So there's a MiniCam 8 mono or color coming in at these two prices here, all shown in US dollars. So $599 US dollars normal, $509 end of year sale. QHY MiniCam 8 combo. So the combo comes with bundled filters that you can put into that filter wheel. There it is, $699 and $594 currently in this year end sale. These prices won't last forever, of course. And the one that I am taking a look at today, the MiniCam 8M combo, $799 usually, which is mind-boggling for a 585 cooled on its own. Never mind the conclusion, you know, of an 8-slot filter wheel, electronic filter wheel at that. And filters as well. It's absolutely wild. And that's coming in at $679 in this year-end sale. Now, I do also want to point out that this is in no way, shape or form a sponsored, paid review, or otherwise. I'm receiving no compensation whatsoever. This isn't my camera. It is what it is. I'm excited though, because it is exciting. I love bringing things that show some real value to you guys, as it's important to me too. That said, I always feel like I have to let you guys know about that, but here we are. Let's talk about the sensitivity of this sensor. Now, the bundled filter set doesn't actually let you view out into the infrared, so if you wish to do that, you are probably going to have to take out, there is one more blanking slot, so it's like a dark filter currently, if you like. You could take that out and maybe replace it with a infrared pass filter or a methane filter or something of that regards. But as it is, it all comes bundled with standard LRGB, hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur 7nm filters as well. But that is one of the strengths of this camera. It's incredible near-infrared sensitivity if you do choose to make use of that. It's backside illuminated, 0 amp glow. It's got anti-dew technology built in, so that means to say that the sensor window, which on older cameras could sometimes frost up, if the insides of your sensor chamber got any moisture in there, it's going to settle on the glass typically, and then it kind of frost or dew. This aims to avoid all of that by having resistive heaters heating up that window the whole time. It's you know, it's tried and tested technology. It works really, really well. This particular camera can cool right the way down to -45 from ambient, by the way, so it's a full power cooler. I do want to say that. Linearity HDR mode is another interesting feature on this camera. What QHY have aimed to do is take the 585, which is a native 12-bit readout on this camera, which, you know, in my case has always been enough whenever I've been using the 585, but give you the option to use the Linearity HDR mode, where the read noise is 1 electron, but you enable access to 46,000 electrons of full well, giving you 15.5 stops of dynamic range, effectively giving you, you know, practically a 16-bit readout from this camera through the use of a clever algorithm. Really neat to see, and I will be testing that out for sure as well. Now, the filters that come with this are specifically designed for this camera. You can't, you know, take them and put them in your other filter wheels. They are designed for this, and I'm absolutely fine with that kind of thing. Given the price that this is coming at, it's absolutely just mind-boggling. So as long as these filters perform well, and I've no doubt that QHY will have done the homework on this, and I'm sure they will perform well, but we will be testing it. Of course, you're going to have no real need to worry about changing these out. I'm sure you can argue maybe that you might want to get some narrower filters at some point than 7nm ones, because, you know, everybody knows that a 3nm filter is better. but many APODs and other beautiful images have been taken with 7nm filters. So don't write them off. Here are the options that come with the C combo as well, by Optilong in that case. Light pollution, heavy light pollution filter, a 4-channel filter, and a UV IR cut. So you've got everything you could probably want, really. For the color combo, quantum efficiency on this sensor is unbelievable. We are getting into the realms now of sensors that are so good, these would have been used in scientific establishments not long ago, to be honest, usually under the guise of being called an SCMOS or an EMCCD, which are pretty much photon counters, which is in a broad spectrum of the wavelength practically what this is, given that it's 91.2% quantum efficient. And this is, by the way, an absolute graph. So this is absolute quantum efficiency, not relative. It is 91.2% efficient in oxygen 3, so that's right about there. You can see it matches that for a long way, right from 400 out to about 550 nanometers of wavelength. Just starts to taper off a bit then. So by HA, we're at 78.7% quantum efficient. Sorry, 80.9, and then sulfur at 78.7. It's wildly sensitive. I feel the need to reiterate that it is such a sensitive camera. I remember not too long back when the 1600s came out, if you guys remember those, the 1600mm, etc. And everybody, you know, were raving about how sensitive they were. This thing is like more than 2 times as sensitive, basically. Take from that what you will. It's an exciting thing to have on your desk, I can tell you that much. Now, I do want to cover, by the way, this is the quantum efficiency of the color camera. This is the bandpasses of the monochrome filter. So if I just open this up and make this visible for you, you can see the overarching bandpass of that luminance filter right there in black. You can see also a little bit of a cut, I assume a cut out for light pollution. This is commonly utilized by filter manufacturers these days, in between, in this case, the green and the red, in order to block out some more standard sources of light pollution. And also you can see those bandpasses from the narrowband filters slotted in there too. Mechanical dimensions, one important thing to point out right here, you can see it's 32 UNC. It's C mount, I think that is basically, but it does come with an adapter in the box to take this to C to M48 basically, you can see right there, and also a 1.25 inch extension tube should you wish. I will be using the M48 adapter as I want to pair this thing up with the ASCAR SQA55 that's in the observatory at the minute. I think that's going to be an absolutely incredible match, basically. Another cool thing that QHY have opted to bundle, so you don't have to buy it yourself if you don't already have one, a power adapter and a cable that's specific for your region. Really nice to see, once again. And I know that they use quality power adapters too. It's not just an absolute piece of crap, you know, e-waste. This is a power supply by Meanwell, and I've had quite a bit of experience with Meanwell power supplies in the past, personally speaking, and anybody out there who's into 3D printing, you probably know about the Meanwell power supplies as well. They are the better ones. So there is that. It comes with a desiccant recharge tube as well, which if I just scroll down a touch, you can see how this works. You pack it with silica desiccant beads, screw it into the recharge port, which then enables it to valve its way into the sensor chamber, purging it of moisture. You unscrew it, seals itself back up, and then you've got a nice dry sensor chamber if at any point you end up with moisture in there. The first thing you're greeted with is a installation card telling you where to get your drivers from. A bag. I'm going to drag out the first thing right here, which is this set of filters, if we can get this to focus on these nicely. So you can see they're protected well inside the body right here in this blister pack. And you can also note as well, handily, they've put a little guide on what filters are what. So if I can get this to just focus for you, you can see LRGB, sulfur, hydrogen, oxygen is the order. So LRGB, sulfur, hydrogen, oxygen. Anyway, MiniCam 8, what a wonderful little device that looks to be, I've got to say. That's awesome. It looks it looks a little utilitarian maybe, with the heatsink visible on the sides, but you know, whatever they've done, obviously it looks like it works with the -45 delta right there, but it's kept the size of the thing to just be, it's so dinky, you know what I mean? You can just hide it in your palm. It's absolutely wild. It feels incredibly sturdy, well built as you would imagine. Nothing's, let's have a feel. Everything's super solid. Interesting mix of fasteners. So we've got Allen bolts used for some parts of it, screws used for some parts right there. So just the face plate bolts. So there's 4 Phillips head screws on the front that holds the filter wheel cover on. We have that famous QHY power adapter right there. So you kind of screw your collar onto this and it just can go absolutely nowhere. So it's extremely secure method of holding your power in right there. And a full-size USB 3, which I don't know, it's polarizing these days. I guess a lot of people love full-size USBs. Some people like USB-Cs these days. It is what it is. As long as it does its job, then that's all we care about at this point. Now, you will note this is a very small cover on this thing. And that is because it is a... Look at that. Ooh, I'll cover that back up. It's a C-mount, effectively by default on this thing, but it does come with a few adapters in the box. So before we move on from this, I just want to talk to you about the size once again. So if I just show you against a, this is a 5-slot EFW Mini from ZWO, coupled up with a 183. So a similar size sensor actually to this thing. In fact, just about the same. There's a little bit of a difference. Hopefully you can see that. There is a little bit of a difference. It's unbelievably small. And then my other current mono setup, so I'll show you faceplate to faceplate, the 8 by 1.25 filter wheel of the Player One kit right there, the Aries mono, which is another wonderful camera, it really is. But once again, look at the size difference between these two. Hopefully you can see. In terms of the camera, wonderful build. Let's move on from that a moment. I'll just lean that there now. Right, remaining in the box, UK power plug. Box number 2 is, it's a busy one. C-mount to 1.25 inch adapter. C-mount to M48 adapter, if my camera would ever focus. Screwdriver, of actually pretty good quality. There are your tweezers, which I'm going to endeavour to keep clean. So I'll put those straight back in the box. A couple of spare screws, and it looks like there's your desiccant recharge doodad. Good quality power supply, it seems. I've actually used Meanwell power supplies before as part of my 3D printing endeavours. Your USB, and so you can see those connectors, and that's your QHY actual power connector right there, as I mentioned, with the spinnable locking collar that threads on. I've just gone ahead and loosened the front 4 bolts on the faceplate right there, making sure to keep the bag, as it's very important that we have this reference. Another important piece of information, and I'm going to do my best so you can see this on the camera. These filters have a direction within which they should be installed, so you can hopefully see on top of every filter there is a small arrow, and you have the arrow facing to the sky. That's the general rule for installing unmounted filters such as these. Go ahead, close any windows and doors and turn off any fans, as you want the air to be quite still, I think, in order to minimize the risk of blowing dust everywhere. Now, as this comes, my filtered wheel is placed with the position 6 over the sensor, but actually I want to use the blacked out dark filter just there and place that over the top of the camera sensor window. That's going to give us another additional layer of protection for getting dust motes on top of that sensor window, which is something obviously we want to avoid. The next step is going to be undo all of these small screws right there, so that we can actually take off this filter holding plate and then screw right down on top with the filters themselves. Alright, so I'm just taking out the last screw now. Let's just remove this faceplate gently, making sure to dodge this little sensor right there so we don't, damage anything. I'm going to leave this in the correct orientation, so upwards like this. I'll just stow that on top of there. And now you can see that on this faceplate we have small recesses, which are going to allow us to drop those filters inside very carefully using the aforementioned tweezers. So what I've done here is I've just flipped over the filter casing, as the filters are now going to be facing the correct direction. So pry open your jaws ever so slightly, and it should naturally pick these up. Alright, that's one filter in. Oxygen. So they're all installed. Let's go ahead now, refit this faceplate. Just making sure to drop it underneath. You don't want to cross thread them. Alright, that's fully installed. So if you're satisfied there's no dust on your filters, you can go ahead and get your faceplate back reinstalled on this thing, and then it's a sealed environment once again. Well then guys, I'm very happy to say that finally the opportunities came to test this thing out under some clear skies, and that's what I'm doing right now actually. As I record this for you, I've already done quite a bit of testing. We are going to jump straight in. I'll talk to you about it now, but what I decided to pair it up with, the mini mono camera, I've put it on my Askar SQA55, as it seems like just the perfect companion. You know what I mean? Two peas in a pod, that thing. A beautiful, sharp little telescope, and then a wonderfully capable, as it turns out, little mono rig. It really is capable. And what I wanted to do is put it through the test. So I've slewed to the brightest star I could at this point in time, which was Capella, and took 10-second exposures with one of my multi-fit Bahtinov masks that I make and sell and ship all over the world. Links below if you're interested in that kind of thing. The support is greatly appreciated from those things. Thank you guys. But I put one of those on the end in order to test, give it the Bahtinov test basically, and see how parafocal these filters are. So what I did for this, after I'd slewed to Capella, I focused in luminance, and then without touching the focuser again, cycled the filter wheel basically through every single filter in there, and here's the results from that. So what we're looking for is any shift of this central bar, so you can see how equidistant they are right now, indicating it's in focus. So shift up and down of that central bar would indicate that these filters weren't parafocal. I'll spoil it for you right now, they are parafocal. As parafocal as any filters I've ever tested. So top marks right there. And what we're also looking for on such a bright star would be halos and things like that. Again, no evidence of such. So let's jump in. So this is luminance. I'll just put it right back. So luminance, red, green, blue. See a little bit of clouds actually passing through. Sulfur, hydrogen, oxygen. Wonderful. Every bit as good in terms of parafocality as my own astronomic filters, astronomic branded ones. As good as anything I've tested. They really are. I've had quite a few filters in my time. I'll put it that way. So what I decided to do anyway with the rest of this clear night is actually put it to the test on a target. And what I wanted to do is go after something with a lot of fine detail that would hopefully be able to dig out. And for that purpose, I've gone for the Tadpoles Nebula. So I'm going to shoot this in hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur, which I've obviously got data for in each channel already. Hopefully going to cycle through a few more times though before the night is out. But this is one 3-minute hydrogen sub, just showing you in Nina. So this is obviously completely unedited. This is just the data as it comes out of the camera. One 3-minute sub, and there's already lots of detail on display, and very impressively I would say from an f4.8 rig. Look at this, there's also evidence of those fine filaments in the background, very faint stuff popping out in single sub exposures. That's a really, really good sign. So that's a hydrogen sub. I'll show you an oxygen sub right there. That mega sensitivity in oxygen is making this target, which is reasonably dim overall. It's not the dimmest, of course, but you know, it's not the brightest target either. It's making it pop out straight away, even on a single 3-minute sub. Same thing for sulfur. If I just open up one of those subs, and you can see loads of sulfur data popping up. It's always the case, by the way, for those of you who are unfamiliar with mono, generally speaking, that whenever you're shooting a narrowband target, hydrogen is going to be the thing that really pops off the screen and does all the heavy lifting, whereas oxygen and sulfur seem a lot more muted, just generally. There are a couple of targets which are exceptions to that, but that is generally the rule of thumb. So in case you were wondering why oxygen and sulfur look so less visually impactful, but I'm still raving about them, that is why. It's because that's quite a lot to see as it happens. Now, also what I decided to do is put this hydrogen stuff, so I got 15 3-minute frames, so 45 minutes. And stack them up in SharpCap live stacking, so no processing is done to this, just a stretch right there using the you know, inside SharpCap curves adjustment tool. So right there you can see I just mid-tone slided it after setting the black and white levels, and sure enough, look at all that background filament there. That was really faint stuff. Once you've stacked up just 15 subs though, man, this is usable already. If I got no more data tonight, I could make an SHO image from this. You know, pass this through pixinsight, give it a bit of denoise, give it a bit of cleaning up in general, and my goodness, this would make a pretty image, and I'm sure it's going to make a pretty image as well. It's incredible what this little camera is enabling this small telescope to do. I mean, look at the detail in those tadpoles from 45 minutes with a 55mm aperture scope. It's wild. I'm incredibly impressed. I know I've probably seemed extremely upbeat over the course of this whole video, and that's because I am just quite simply excited about this thing. As I said earlier on, I'm not receiving anything for this. This is just me being excited to bring you something that I think looks like a really promising product. I'm certainly going to put my money where my mouth is. If the opportunity comes up to purchase this thing and keep it, you can damn well bet I'm going to do that. I will be keeping it. It's a wonderful little camera, and I want to use it more. Do you know what I mean? And that should tell you everything you need to know about this. If I do find anything else out, you know, if I point it at certain wavelengths of stars and we get anything odd appearing, I'll tell you. Sure, I will. And also, by the way, as I mentioned earlier in the video too, check out my friend Queeve the Lazy Geek. He really is a cracking fella, and he's going to be reviewing this thing as well. So see what he finds from it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same sort of thing. At least on my test bed, it's been completely bloody flawless, and I've really enjoyed my time with it already, and I'm looking forward to using it more. Anyway, I've gone on at extreme length, as I usually do. I hope you forgive me, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. But until then, I just want to say a huge thank you for your support throughout the whole year. It's been incredible. It's enabled me to do things with my life at this point that I never thought I'd actually get the opportunity to. So I just want to say, hand on heart, very seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful new year ahead. That's about it from me, guys. Look after yourselves. I will see you in a future video, and until then, clear skies.